welcome. We have Charlie Huhn from FOGHAT. How are you, Charlie?
Very well, thanks. Pleasure to be with you guys.
Well, thank you so much. Always enjoyed your music over the years, and, we're so excited about the FOGHAT shows this summer. But if we could go back a minute, I know you were born in Portland and moved to Michigan at an early age. Tell us about your early days, picking up music, wanting to play in bands, and, who were some of your musical heroes at the time?
Oh, wow, yeah. Well, I started with piano lessons at 4 years old, and always loved playing records. Like my parents tell me I played records when I was 3 all day long and stuff. So music was in me, and my mom was a really good singer in church choirs and stuff, soloist. And then after about 8 years of piano, I wanted to play guitar because I really loved rock and roll. And so I taught myself how to play guitar, and then started playing in high school bands and stuff like that. And then my first concert was Jimi Hendrix, so I got spoiled with one of the greatest, and I was at Woodstock, and so that totally changed my life forever.
You actually went to Woodstock?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, and how old were you?
18.
Oh, my gosh.
Right, and so that was really fun, and that was the beginning of the big festivals and the arena rock and all that, so I played music, guitar and sang in college, and then when I got out, didn't feel like getting a day job, so a buddy of mine had a house gig at a club in Grand Rapids, Michigan, so I got into his group, and we banged around for about 2.5 years and got really good because we played every night, 3 sets, and rehearsed during the day. So it was like a full-time job, and pretty soon we were getting really good and developing a following, and I got an audition for Ted Nugent and won that, and then haven't looked back.
Oh, my gosh. What a charmed life. I mean, to go from Hendrix to Woodstock.
Well, it's not all that charmed, I mean, there's a lot of speed bumps.
No, we know it wasn't easy, but looking back, I mean, what an amazing thing to be able to step into the Ted Nugent band at the height they were.
No kidding. In fact, when I ran lights on Ted back when I was 16 years old in this Quonset hut like roller skating rink in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and he was in the Amboy Dukes, I thought, oh my God, this crazy guy, such a wild man and all that, and who would have thought 10 years later I'd be in his group, it was like so far from reality. But.
Sure. Well, talk about stepping in, because obviously Derek St. Holmes had that, amazing voice and all those classics, and next thing you know, you're out front in a band that's playing stadiums and arenas.
Well, yeah, it was just a twist of fate, and Ted's going to do his thing, everybody knows that. So it was just kind of fate, I keep falling through the cracks on a regular basis, tell you the truth. But no, Derek's a great guy and all that. He and Ted just didn't get along there, and so Ted made a change, and I got in, and the first album sold 1 million the first week, which is a little information about how hot Ted was at the time.
Yeah, the heyday. That's Weekend Warriors, right. And of course you did State of Shock, right. And Scream Dream. What
right.
did you learn most from playing with Ted?
Oh man, I learned a lot, about how to perform on a big stage and how to record. I'd never recorded before. Cliff Davis, the producer drummer, was really helpful in the studio. I had no idea what I was doing. I could just play and sing, and so these guys in the big time kind of like took me under their wing and said, you got to make big moves on stage. You can't just like dance around in a 3x3 foot circle. And just fun things like that, you just, it's a whole different animal. And,
yeah, they got to see you in the back row.
Right. Yeah, and kind of move slow motion and stuff, but then in the studios, it's really a different, type of, format where, you're putting stuff onto tape or digitally that, is, doesn't require 10 amplifiers, and you want to get the best tone, and you have to do it accurately and with feeling, and so all these things like you're embarking on a new adventure, you know, and it's fun to learn all that stuff.
Like we know, there's an art to performing, there's an art to playing, and there's certainly an art to recording and songwriting.
Right.
Now I know from there you went, of course, to play with Gary Moore and Trevor Rabin before Yes, and all the great records with Victory. But we're really interested to find out when you played with Jerry Shirley and Humble Pie.
Sure. Yeah, you know, I was in a German-based group for 4 years over in Hanover in northern Germany, and it was a fun project because, you know, there was no virtuoso in the band, but when we got together, the magic just happened, and so it was really fun doing that, and we recorded regularly. We had to scrape you know, money together to get record deals and all that, and kept writing and recording, and the Scorpions were friends of ours, and we had, you know, Lieber Krebs management when we first started, and things were, you know, going pretty well, and so after that, I just said, okay, I've had enough of commuting to Europe, you know, and my son was born in '84, so I had to be a daddy, and I loved that, and then the phone rang, and it was Anthony Jones, Sooty, they called him, the replacement bass player for Greg Ridley in Humble Pie. And we just been working together with Nugent, because they were managed by Lieber Krebs also, and so I knew those guys, and Jerry was putting the band together without Steve. You know, he got Steve's permission, and so I said, well, yeah, I know a lot of the Frampton leads, and you know, love to do it, and so we embarked on another adventure of, you know, doing Humble Pie without Steve Marriott, and it turned out pretty well. It went through some changes, and Jerry went through a lot of changes. Unfortunately, not so hot, some of them, you know, but at the end it got me on a platform where I could be seen by other people, and that's where the FOGHAT guys saw me, and they remembered me, you know, so that was nice.
Well, that's some amazing, you know, catalogs that you were singing, and that brings us to FOGHAT from 2000 on. Talk about, you know, joining with Roger Earl and the guys, and, you know, stepping in those shoes of Lonesome Dave Peverett. I mean, what an amazing band and catalog they had. What was your feeling joining the band?
I'd been watching Savoy Brown, you know, before I could really sing and play, and it was just so amazing. You know, that band just really inspired me, and then I'd never seen FOGHAT before I saw them in Toledo, where Humble Pie opened for them, where they saw me, and so it was kind of interesting how we never bumped into each other when I was with Nugent, you know, and they were headlining and we were headlining, but, you know, I always loved the band. I had all the albums, you know, and knew all the hits, and it was just really cool to finally see them and talk to them after the show. And then unfortunately Dave got ill, and he recovered, but only to have the cancer come back, and it took his life, unfortunately. He was one of my mentors, you know, because being a singer, guitar player, songwriter, there aren't too many of them out there, you know, and he was just, you know, the genre that I really loved. And so when I got the call, it was like, oh my God, you know, it was the day after he died too, and I was working at a Ford factory, and a friend of mine that said, hey, did you know that Lonesome Dave died? And I went, no, you're kidding. And then he pointed at me, and I went, what? You've got to be kidding me. And the next day, Roger called. It was like this guy had some kind of premonition.
Wow.
But, but, you know, hey, Roger's great. You know, the rhythm section is like a locomotive. Once it gets started, it just rolls, and it makes my job so easy. And I love what I'm doing, and you know, Brian Bassett is such a solid guitar player that, you know, everything just cruises on cruise control when we're up there. It's just awesome.
Well, what a catalog! I just want to make love to you, Fool for the City, Slow Ride. I mean, so many great classics, and you know, that music from the '70s just still sounds so fresh, so vital. Has influenced so many, you know, bands and
timeless
music sense.
Isn't it great? You know, and that's the thing. You know, it was music that made you feel good and happy, and that was the inception of rock and roll. You know, and it's so nice to be a part of that, because you've seen the way music has gone in the past 20 years, and it's like I'm just honored to be in that genre of music, and being able to still do it at my age. It's like, you know, a special tribute.
Absolutely. Now, I know you guys have been making some great live albums, the Foghat Live 2 and Live at the Blues Warehouse, and, you know, Last Train Home.
Last Train Home, that was a real fun album. We put some original blues tunes in there. We had Colin Earl, Roger's brother, playing piano. You know, he was keyboard player in Mungo Jerry. And then did a bunch of covers, and Brian just smokes on so many roads, you know, that a version that, like, what's his name, from Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green did back with John Mayall, and just so many great blues songs. I love that CD.
Well, it's amazing stuff. You know, one of the first big outdoor festivals I saw was Foghat in '76 in Northern Ohio, and Ted Nugent was on the bill, and Bob Seger, and it was right in between, you know, Cleveland and Detroit and Chicago and everything.
Right, I remember hearing about that one, man. I wanted to be there.
It was an amazing time. Matter of fact, Derek told me that was Cliff Davies' first show he ever played with the band.
Oh, okay.
So
wow.
Great stuff. Well, Charlie, you've had an amazing history. We love Foghat, definitely. Love all the Nugent, all the great stuff you've given us. What advice do you give to those young singers, young songwriters, young bands in a garage today? We know the business has radically changed, but as a core, you need to be a great songwriter, a great player, and a great performer. What advice do you have for them?
Well, it's probably pretty much the similar stuff they always hear, you know, but you just got to put your nose to the grindstone and keep plugging away. You know, give yourself a time limit that you feel is natural for you to give it all you got, and keep working and practicing, and hopefully it pays off for you, you know, because the more you do something, the better you get at it, and that's about as much inspiration as I can give. Sure.
Well, I know we all start playing covers, but at some point you got to find your own voice, you know, your own song. And I know there's risk taking in that. It's easy to follow the trend or follow others, but really the greats always went out on a limb and really did what they did, you know, well.
Exactly. Yeah, that brings to mind the documentary that Jimmy Page and Jack White and the Edge
Les Paul,
did together.
Definitely.
And yeah, it was just fantastic to see those three guitar players that are unique all together talking about how they did what they did, and how they became their own style, and it's really informative.
Well, Charlie, we really appreciate all. We can't wait to see you live out here in Southern California. The Foghat Classics live on. Thank you so much for all the music you've given us, and can't wait to see you live.
Okay, bud. I'll talk to you soon.